I didn't love either candidate here. I really didn't understand being enthusiastic about either candidate. I think, I'm not a Trump guy, obviously. I think he is dangerous in the things that I'm scared of the most. And the thing that made me lean towards Kamala was more than anything was the Supreme Court, and that it would be, if it's put under like far right control for the next however long. We've already seen, women's right to, over their bodies, the abortion, Roe v. Wade's been overturned, which I think is really dangerous. That's going to like really affect women's health care. Already in states that banned it, you see they're getting less just general OBGYN care because it's more dangerous to be a doctor in those states. So we don't think about shit that trickles down. So like, it's harder to get just general health care, let alone abortion, in Texas now for women. And that's only going to get harder in rural states. And I think for me, that was the number one issue. Yeah. That's really scary to me.
Well, especially with the border being open and they're letting in. It's fucking, you know what I'm saying though? It's like you're just, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the best time to repeal that.
Yeah. If we're going to follow your logic and you claim they got coming in, maybe we should also keep abortion. But, I think we got plenty of homegrown rapists too, but look,
we've got our own.
Sure.
We got some union guys.
We've got some heirloom American rapists for sure.
Jesus.
But I think that's the number one thing that scares me is about that, because it's not only that's the first step. And I think you can really see stuff that we take for granted as progress. Gay marriage is another thing. There's a really weird cultural, I think this is what happens anytime, the party that's backed by the powers that be, big business, the richest people in the world want far right politicians. And I think if they
still,
absolutely, without question.
I feel like tech is now. I just feel like the parties
Elon
have
Musk
changed.
is a huge Trump guy.
That's a good point.
I think rich people will support whoever's in power, number one, but they want to transfer wealth from the poor to the rich. They've been really good at doing it. The biggest issue, I think, the reason the Democrats lost is because they pretend that there is no problem. I think inflation. I think a big part of inflation is that companies realize they can just charge.
He's great for normies like you. No, that's like Stavi does a great job with this. I try to do a decent job with this in my normal interactions with people, or when I'm on like somebody else's stream or in mainstream media. Obviously on my own stream, it's a little bit different, and people will inevitably piss me off and then clip my action to be like, Hassan is always angry. But like, yeah, this is solid.
Charge you more and say it's somebody else's fault. A lot of it's price gouging. That's true. And
everything gets so much more expensive.
And companies are, some of it is just real inflation, but some of it is companies are hiding behind inflation. And like, Democrats did nothing to stop price gouging, right? They didn't even say they were going to do it. You can't tell people that things are going good when they're just clearly not. The most important issue for people is that things are more, they have no health care. Wage inequality is out of control. People's wages have not kept pace with how much bosses are earning.
Well, yeah. Well, what percent? I mean, Bernie Sanders said greatly that he thought if AI starts to happen for companies, right? So companies are making more money.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't get anything and we keep all the profits. And I do think, I think we talked about it a little bit last time, where it's like AI is a tool to do creative shit. It's so weird when it's like it should be making normal people's lives easier. It shouldn't just be for rich people to be able to charge less. Like there should be some protections for workers, and we should be able to
No disrespect to Stavi, but if you need a comedian to guide you through a thought, maybe you shouldn't talk about politics, talking about Theo. Brother, it doesn't matter. You're speaking to a reality that doesn't exist and avoiding the reality that's in front of you. Whether you like it or not, many Americans are dumb and completely disillusioned with politics and don't like to think about it. And the ones that do like to think about it want an oversimplified explanation. Your conversation with FaZe Banks made me understand the mind of the average guy. The reality of the matter is, like, FaZe Banks or Theo Vaughn, these are both multimillionaires. They're very successful. They're not the average person, but they do think closer to the average person. Their thought process is closer to the average person than the average chatter in here. if you're in here, you're not an average person. You might be a formative member of the working class. You might be an essential worker. You might be a delivery driver. Many of you are. But the reality of the matter is you're a little bit of a freak because you want to not only be educated on politics, but you also have a unique perspective. You have a well-defined ideological framework that you operate off of, okay? The moment that you recognize class politics or class consciousness in this country is the moment where you have transcended beyond the average Democratic Party operative even, okay? You have transcended beyond understanding politics at a level that is, in my opinion, even more successful and smarter, more intelligent than the average Ivy League college graduate that works in the DNC. Speaking of the DNC and also people that are, working within the Democratic Party's institutions, there's plenty of them in here as well. I know for a fact there's plenty of members of the media in here as well. The problem is there's a lot of you out there. Your voices are simply not heard because those who are in control of the institutions don't give a fuck. They don't want to hear it. But never forget, dumbing down politics is definitely a smart thing to do.